everybody, Dave here. Welcome to our Tuesday program. You can tell that I am not at home. No, I am not. I am in Denver, Colorado. I'm out here this week doing an event with some pastors. In my past life, I was on full-time vocational ministry, and so this week I am stepping back into that past life, and I'm spending some time with some ministry leaders. So if you are a prayer person, you can be praying for this group of leaders. But today we've got a very special program. If you missed last week's program, we did an online version of Steve's training, Why Does My Mule Do That? Now, this is a very special clinic because, number one, this clinic is Steve's most requested clinic of all time. People have questions. Why is my mule doing this? Why is my donkey doing that? So it's Steve's most popular clinic being brought to you. But number two, we actually want you to have the full version, live version of Steve on the ground, hands-on clinic training. Why Does My Mule Do That? Right now is available for any orders $100 or more. So if you've been eyeing something inside of muleranch.com, now is the time. Go place your order. Make sure it's over $100. We're going to send you Steve's Why Does My Mule Do That on the ground live training clinic, digital copy. It comes to you immediately, and it's a phenomenal video. It's one of the most comprehensive trainings he's ever done live, and we want you to have that in your hands so you can have an incredible summer. No excuses as to why you can't enjoy the summer. We want to answer and give you the tools to answer the mule questions that you have so that you can enjoy what it is to be an equine owner. So thank you for hanging out, spending a little bit of time with us. Check out the link in the description of the video to learn all about the major breakthrough where you get that free video, $100 or more. And I hope you enjoy today's program. God bless. We'll see you all soon. Bye-bye. Hey folks, welcome to Why Does My Mule Do That? My name's Dave. This is Steve Edwards, and this is a very special clinic. Steve, talk to us a little bit about what we're going to be covering tonight.
I was just talking to one of my clients who said they're getting ready to go to Black Hills to go on a big ride. And he's just buying a third saddle from me. And his statement is this: when my mule's happy, I'm happy. There you go. Okay. So, and I said, well, what makes your mule happy? He says, going down the trail, ears flopping, happy mule because I've got your saddle on the back. He says, it's my third saddle, by the way. And he says, I've tried other saddles, and it's amazing to see the difference. So here's what we want to tell you, folks, is I just didn't come about this information just by reading it on the internet or reading books and things like this. I come about it by the school of hard knocks. I kept saying, why is this happening? How come, and this sort of thing. Then with 32 broken bones and 2 replaced hips, I finally got the understanding, and I sure would like to see it, that you all get this understanding too. So we got a variety of things we're going to be showing you. We got all kinds of videos of doing different things, people doing things, and this sort of thing. But that's one of the first things we want to look at is the anatomy of the mule. Really super important. Remember, the number one thing you want to think about is you are riding 3 entities in one. It's not like you ride a horse and you're riding a horse, mare and the stud. You got a horse. But with the mule, you have a donkey, you have a horse, and you have the mule. 3 entities that you're having to deal with. And unfortunately, people say they're stubborn and they kick like a mule, things like this. But these are all things of people who don't have an understanding of what is really, why are they doing that? Why did they just kick me? Why did they just bite me? Why are they running off from me? So these questions I want to try to get into. Why can't I pick up my mule's feet? Okay. Why, when I go to catch them and I got my bridle and halters and stuff like this in my hand, do they run the other way? I feed them, I take care of them. Why is that? So we got a lot of things we want to cover. So let's go back and look at the anatomy. Number one, when we get back and we look at the mule, we see donkey, we see ears, we see head, we see small feet, and we see a long head. Okay. Now, they are a animal that is a wonderful critter. They've always cost more throughout the centuries than horses, but they get the tough end of it simply because most people put the blame on the mule. They say, oh, it's the mule's fault. Okay, so now let's look. Mules carry their weight down low. Horses carry their weight up high. Mules are hourglass belly toward the shoulders. Horses are hourglass belly toward the hip. So you need a breast collar on a horse saddle to keep it from going back, to balance it. And you need a breeching on a mule to keep it from going forward. Now, why is my saddle going forward? Let's just hit that to start with. It's going forward because the mule is V-shaped in their shoulders, like that, okay? Horses are A-shaped in their shoulders. So that's why the saddle goes forward. A wither does not keep a saddle into place on a mule. If you put a saddle up on the wither, you have got it too far, and you will be then destroying the scapula. And right in behind the scapula, here's the scapula, and right in behind there, the front of the saddle is going to be sitting. That's a working area in there. Watch your animal. Go have somebody lead him while you watch him. And we'll probably see it in some videos here of watching the scapula go up, down, up, down, up, down. And that area move around in the back. Where do you see white marks? Why do you have white marks? Because you've over tightened the front cinch. Why is it dry in that area? Because you've over tightened the front cinch. The rear cinch is your anchor point. A breeching is only to balance the saddle. You have a strap on the right, a strap on the left that goes up underneath the D-ring of your saddle, not down to your cinch, okay? And it goes up underneath the D-ring of your saddle. That keeps your saddle from going right, left. You have two straps on the top. That helps keep your saddle from moving forward, okay? Now, because of the way they're made, you have to have a breeching. I don't care if you're in Florida in flat ground or if you're in Colorado in the mountains. You have to ride a breeching all the time. It's pretty simple to do. Now, let's go and look at how I get them to understand that what they're doing I am not happy with. Okay? Anytime they are being incorrect, or anytime if you want to get them to go right or left or stop, this sort of thing, you're going to do it from the nose. From the nose. The nose, when you have your come-along hitch or your halter, you want it 2 fingers above the nostril so that the knots from the rope halter go right in the nose, right here. But when we're not interested in that in the very beginning, why does my mule do different things on the ground and in the saddle? Because you have not used the proper equipment and the proper communication to get them to comply to what you want. Number one thing you want to think about, they are the bottom of the food chain. The bottom, okay? And since they are on the bottom, we are a predator. They are a prey animal. Immediately when they are born, their feet are moving and they're running because they know a predator is on them. You watch any animal that is in a prey form, as soon as they hit the ground, they're pretty much going, once they get their legs underneath them, they're running. They're going to be able to. So flight, because of fright, is what they will do. They will do it in a small way, i.e. move an ear, twitch an eye, move their nose, flight. Beginning of flight. That's when the feet move. So with the come-along hitch, with the nose, we are going to teach them to be quiet with their feet. That's your number one thing you want to do. Not to move their feet, not to lead them from A to B. Teach the mule to stand still and quiet when you want to. Now, is that hard to do? No, it is your timing. Now, We got a guy, I call him, his name is Joe. And this guy just started doing this stuff, pretty phenomenal. And we're going to show him toward the end. But when, folks, your timing is good, your mule will respond. So let's start with some different things here. Let's look at doing the come-along rope, Dave, and talk about the communication device. And while Dave's pulling that one up with us doing some come-along work, I want you to think about this. The mules you've got 5 things that you need to have them understand. You need to have them understand ask, tell, demand. You need to have them understand comfortable, uncomfortable. When you learn those 5 things with your timing, you can pretty much do anything that you need to do. Teach them to go right, left, go in a circle, stop, and this sort of thing. So pretty much anything you need to do once you learn those 5 things.
Well, Steve, I'd like to start off with this video. This comes out of our trailer loading video, and you go just a little bit deeper into those 5 items: comfortable, uncomfortable, ask, tell, demand. And you talk a little bit about getting out of my space. So I'd like to start there and then go into some of that ground foundation work with the come-along rope. Does that work?
And it's going to communicate to just the right places. Now, remember I said the mule needs to learn comfortable, uncomfortable. All right, so with it being comfortable, uncomfortable, he's also looking for a release. So as soon as he does correct, I want to make him comfortable and say, that's what I'm looking for. And then he'll start saying, oh, if I do this, you're going to give me comfort, and I'm going to get comfortable again. Okay, so that's what the come-along hitch does, because of the release. And I'll show you that how this goes here. Give me a good mule. I cannot emphasize enough: disposition, disposition, disposition. I don't care about color. I don't care about age. I don't care about training. But if we got a willing disposition like this here, head drops and life is good. It's not a matter of a lot of wet saddle blankets. It's a matter of, if I get a disposition, I can do things a lot quicker, a lot easier. So I take my rope and I kind of scratch on him a little bit and I bring it on up. Okay. And I love it when they drop their head. Okay. And then I go, I'm not that short. Come on down here. All right, so I go right to left. I come around again, right to left. The second one goes above the first one. All right? Then I feed with my right hand. I pull up with my left hand. Now notice how the head is staying down. Right ear first, left ear second. Now, at any one time, what I don't want to do is be training, and my thought is to only put the come-along hitch on. That's not it. What I don't want to do is have the head up in the air while I'm trying to put the come-along hitch on. Right. When the head is down, nose tip to the left, I've got all 5 major neck muscles loose. I've got relaxation. That's what I'm looking for, okay? So it's not important to put the come-along hitch on. It's important that I put it on with his head down, nose to the left. If his head is up and he's moving around a lot, I'm going to stay right there until he gets quiet. I'm going to pet on him and rub on his eyes and just kind of tell him, this is a good place to be. Yeah. I'm a good guy, and you're going to be comfortable. I'm going to do the best I can to be a herd leader and to show you comfort. It's important that we show them comfortable, uncomfortable. It's important we teach them ask, tell, demand. A mare, when she says, get over there, she pins her ears. Yes. Okay? And then you don't move. She pins her ears, she swishes her tail. So she asks, then she told, and now she demands, she spins and kicks you. Right? Okay? Isn't that what they do? Isn't that what they do with a big guy? That's what they do, you see? But instead we go, oh, don't do that, Fluffy. Oh, don't hit the mule because he won't like you. He's going to say, is that all you got? You're not a leader, I'm the leader. Is it important that he understands where the space is, or is it important for me to have my comfort zone? He can step on me, make me very uncomfortable. So I want to have him to be where I can reach out and touch him. My elbow is still slightly bent. That's as close as he can be. I don't want him to be in my space at all because he can step on me. So pretty soon he learns that this is my space, and if he comes into my space, he's going to be made uncomfortable. And it's going to communicate.
So I thought that was a great demonstration there. Anything you want to follow up and add, Steve?
No, that's awesome, because it gets the point across of asking, telling, demand. It gets the point across of comfortable, uncomfortable. And that's the whole thing when it comes down to the difference between using a halter and the come-along hitch. The halter communicates just in a few places and is not quick to release. The come-along hitch communicates to the back of the pole, across the top of the nose, underneath the chin, and as quick as you give it to them, they got released. So that was perfect. See my hand on the nose? Hand on the nose. Oop, we a little ear shy problem too? Not normally. Hand on the nose, get some relaxation. Relaxation. This is saying, oh, Fluffy, it'll be okay. It'll be okay, Fluffy. Rubbing on the nose, getting them relaxed. I can feel the stiffness in her right now. So just kind of relaxing, rubbing on her, right ear, left ear.
When the mule's all stiff like that, what's he saying? What?
He basically is saying, I'm uncomfortable with what you're doing, and I want to be comfortable. Right to left. Right. So that's the whole purpose of them dropping their head, is loosening all 5 major neck muscles. And you see, this mule didn't have an ear side problem, but all of a sudden I moved too fast. My hand on the nose right here. I got my other hand right here on the lead rope. This is important. So I'm going to rub around my hand here.
And he's still real stiff right now.
Doctor works on you, you're not sick, right? See the ears? Stand right here.
What are the ears saying?
The ears are saying, I'm unhappy with what's going on. And see, this mule before nosed her around, would hit the person. And you see how I'm now? He just knocked my hat off.
Knocked my hat off. First rule, never touch a cowboy's hat.
Yeah. Okay, so when he did that,
I push against this mule in his nose. If he pushes against me, I'm going to bump his nose. You see how the bump in her nose made a difference?
you see, the mule thought he was doing right, but he wasn't doing right. He was saying, get out of my space by taking his nose and bumping me. But how did I fix it? I used the come-along hitch, and I bumped his nose and said, don't do it. Now here's the little girl.
And you're going to bump if it needs to be done. Pretty serious. Take your other hand and move around the nose and get around the mule. There you go. Good timing. Wow. All right.
Okay.
Do it again.
Stop right there a minute, Dave. Okay, folks, here, this is really important. See, the girl's timing was good. Notice the mule bumped her. What was the mule saying? You go ahead and show this part. What was the mule saying? Get out of my space. But that you're the herd leader. And when that happened, she immediately, with her right hand, you can barely see it, but watch this. Watch her right hand. Boom. Timing was good right there. Boom. Split seconds. So she immediately told that mule, that's not good. Okay, now let's go on. Let's keep on going. Now she's rubbing some more. Notice the lead rope is not tight, you all. Notice that. She has about 4 foot of rope. Notice she's back doing it again.
That was good timing. Did you see that? Wow.
Yeah, it's good. And notice the mule goes.
Between me and her now, I need to get her over here. Because it's her he's bluffing. And once I bumped on his nose a couple times, he saw that, dang, he better not be bluffing me. When you go to rub on the mule's nose, the mule would throw his nose and do this and try to knock your hand off. Okay? And then would start pushing you around after that, probably. It's usually what they do. But that was the problem. As soon as you went to messing with the nose, he'd throw his head saying, get your hand off my nose.
Here's what we have to understand, folks. These animals can't say something. They have to do something. And they can hurt you doing it. That's what you got to remember. They will bite you, kick you, buck, run. All of them do. All of them buck. They all bite. Don't ever have anybody say to you, oh, they have never had a buck in them. Yeah, they will. Sooner or later, it's going to come. They never have bit or kicked. Yeah, they will. Look at this now. Look how this mule says, oh, man, I better pay attention. And all she had to do was bump his nose. You have to be the herd leader. And when that mule bumps you like that, what usually happens with people, they step out of the way. And the mule says, okay, I got her, I got him to do what I want him to do, and that is go where I want him to go. That's what they do. They get in your space, and then what do? You move back. They get in your space, and you move back. Now here this lady is. She's getting all ready, and notice that mule now is alert and listening to her, okay? Alert and listening to her. Now there he's upset. There he got alert. There he's upset. There he got alert. Look at the ear. Look at the brains. Now look at that. I'm alert. I'm going to pay attention to you. She became the herd leader within split seconds because she said by doing it, by don't do that or slapping them or something like that, they used the nose to say, you're not doing that. That's improper thinking. It's not going to happen.
What are those ears saying right now? What are those ears saying?
Those saying they're saying, I'm thinking this is a different person than what I used to have. Those are relaxed ears, but I'm thinking ears. Those are not laid back stiff like they were before. Look at that. The guy immediately, he got on alert and saying, wow, you're a different lady there. Okay. But watch the ears moving back and forth. Not real hard. They're not real stiff, but they're moving around. Watch the ears. Notice she's not having to do much. She's barely having to do it. Yes, her hand is a lot more incorrect, but she's trying to get the mule to bump her. And what I'm trying to show you is the mule says, get out of my space and go over there. Now she's saying, now you get out of my space and you get over there. So with the come along hitch, because her timing, and get this in your mind, folks, because her timing was correct, she got it done quicker. When the mule has already hit you and you don't get it done within the first 3 to 5 seconds, you might as well forget it. You have to get it done right now. Boom, has to get done. Okay, now if the mule, let's go back to this. People say, I don't want to make him mad at me. Well, you better, because if that mule would have pinned his ears, he could have bit you, he could have kicked you, he could have pawed you with the front one, okay? So what I'm trying to point out to you here, folks, has to be your timing to make it right. Okay, so what kind of question do we have from the people? We just stop right now. Maybe you can answer a question.
Well, the first question, and this is a really good one, Victoria asked, will these tips work on donkeys too? And I said, absolutely. Steve, will you just tell us why they will work on donkeys and if there's any place where the donkey and the mule will separate and things are different?
Okay, so folks, here's what you got to think about. Where do the brains come about with this mule? Okay, it's not all the horse, it's not all the donkey, but if I have to really put where the brains are, it's going to come from the donkey. The natural way that mule learns to walk and take care of itself comes from the donkey. Donkey automatically watches and sees what he's doing. The horse plods through. The horse tends to jump over top of over top of water puddles and stuff like this. Mules tend to think about it, move around at it, and this sort of thing. Horse tends to have a lot more flight and fright where the mule don't. But so with a donkey, for the horse, where the mule doesn't. So when it comes to these donkeys, whatever you see me do with the mules and the programs here, you can do the same thing. It's just what you have to remember is this: the donkey is not as reactive. Now you can have the odd one, be very reactive. It's possible, but they're not as reactive. In other words, if all of a sudden they have something wanting to attack them, they're more to fight than they are flight. They're more to fight than they are fight. So they'll stand their ground. Horse, go off running and bucking, okay? Now, there again, it's your timing, okay? That has to be. So, yes, whatever you see me do with the mules, do with the donkey.
Harley says, why does my sweet 2.5-year-old gelded mule fight me on everything? I have to use food to bribe for anything. I've tried the halter and the come along. I bump him and he rears up, just snatching away.
Yep. Okay. Folks, you don't have a dog that's going to do good with food. All right. Now, don't you think about this. The mule takes off running. And how are you going to try to stop him? Give him a carrot? Ain't going to happen. Okay. If your come along rope is not working, it's not its fault. It is your fault. Your timing is off, period. Your timing is not correct. Notice the video beforehand and how she quickly got it done. And that mule immediately changed its 110%. So food rewards, folks, do not work. All they're going to do is cause you problems. I've got clients that are missing fingers because they were giving carrots. Put their hand out one day and the carrot wasn't there, but the finger was. Had another one of my clients with a carrot. She thought it was really neat to put it in her pocket. One day the carrot wasn't there, her breast was. She had to have breast surgery. So forget about that food treats, folks. That clicker training is good if you want to do dog and pony show stuff. But you have to do foundation work. And if your sweet 2.5-year-old is only being a mule, he's only being an equine because you are not communicating. He sees the holes in your communication through your lead rope, through your come along rope, and he knows how to get around you. So all he's doing is being an equine. Just like the lady earlier, she was getting bumped by her equine, okay? She was getting bumped because that's his language that says, get out of my space and move over here. Well, now, same thing with this. With he rears up, all he's saying is, I got to find a way out of here. But you're saying, oh, poor Fluffy. No. You know what? If he rears, if he runs off, all of that is part of flight and fright. And it has to be your timing to fix the problem. Now, if he's already turned around and going, it's too late. But catch it like this. When the ear flips, I'm going to go that way. When the eye looks over this way, I'm going to go that way. Why does he do that? Because you are not reading what the mule is saying. You're seeing the big picture. You're not looking for the small spot, okay? The small spot. You got about 4 foot of rope, and you're standing there a little bit over here at the right of the shoulder, and the mule is looking. All of a sudden, the mule looks to the right. Well, if you hadn't seen the ear move or the nose go, and he looks to the right, it's already too late. A split second, that ear points toward the right, he's leaving you. The split second, the nose looks to the right, he's leaving you. What do? Just like this lady did earlier, a bump. Okay? That bump just said to that mule, that's a wrong decision for you looking to the right. See, you're not thinking about, you're just thinking about all of a sudden he's gone. No, look for the small things. Why does my mule do that? Because you are not reading the small things. The treats are going to just get you in trouble. That's all they're going to do. It's going to get you in heavy trouble. You have to read, folks. You have to have the language of ask, tell, demand. You have to have the language of comfortable, uncomfortable. You have to have that, folks. Okay? Doing treats is not going to work. You're going to need a treat one day, and that mule is going to be gone. Forget it. What you have to do is do the come along work. I'm going to show you, what have we got for ground communication for them to stand still and quiet?
So I let me see if you're okay going with this one. One of the things that I find most impressive, first and foremost, is folks think that they need to train an hour a day, 90 minutes a day, and that's just not the case. 20 minutes a day, maybe 4 hours a week, you're going to be in good shape. Their brains aren't bigger than a walnut. There's just not a whole lot that they can take in, and anything past 30 minutes is probably a waste of your time and theirs. So I think that's pretty impressive of a shift. But equally as impressive to me is the fact that it shouldn't always, for the most part, and it doesn't take a lot of pressure in order to get them to understand. Steve, for the longest time, I saw you do just little tiny movements with your hands, and I didn't quite get it until one day it clicked. These tiny movements were like, how is he going to feel anything? But what clicked is, oh, he feels everything, every single thing he feels on his nose. So if it's okay, I want to show at least one of these videos of you showing just how slight pressure on the nose does the job. Is that okay if I pull that up?
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, let's talk about lateral flexions a little bit. We hear it all the time. We want to loosen up the neck so that it'll be soft. You don't do lateral flexions with a mule. That basically means this. When I take and pick up on this rein, I bend the head around. See how she's stiffening up? So a lot of people think that's bad. I'll wait. There she gives. There she gives. Wait. I'll wait. There she gives right there. That's called lateral flexions when you bend their heads around. You don't want to do that. That's going to stiffen all 5 major neck muscles. The neck muscle across the top of the crest of the neck, one down through the middle, one along the esophagus, and 2 here. What I do, if I want to get my mule to soften up and to soften up the whole body, I'll put the rope around behind the hind quarter like this, pick it up, and I'll go around in a circle. That way I flex the whole body, not just the neck. The downside of doing lateral flexions, it makes them run through their shoulder. So people think they're going to do a one rein stop, pick up on the rein, then they go around in circles. Well, if we try that at the Grand Canyon, we're not going to have much way to go in a circle, especially if we have pack mules behind us. So what I do to get them softened up is I take my hands, I go right, left, ask them to drop their head. So I'll show you, do a little demonstration here.
This is what I was talking about.
Yeah. Now, I'm using a halter, folks, but he's been using a come-along a lot. So you have to pretty much use a halter.
I got back from, I was over in Australia in March when this pandemic come out. I got the last plane, the last 2 seats.
So you have to use a halter to do this type of training. Now watch my hands.
Want them to stop. I'll wait.
See how I'm rolling my hand?
Right, left. There's the head drop. Right, left. Wait a second. Wait, right, left. There's the head drop. Right, left.
See the small tries?
Right, left. There's the head drop. See the head dropping? So what I do to get them to soften in the neck, there. I go right, left. I say right brain, relax. Left brain, relax. Now you can see where the head is. All right?
So what's the mule communicating right now? What's he thinking?
He's thinking, all right, my neck, all 5 major neck muscles just relaxed. Now I'm comfortable. Notice how the mule's ears now are alert and listening to me. He's looking at me with the left brain. And even though, folks, this halter is misadjusted, I was able to get a little bit of getting relaxation, okay? So what the mule is saying now is, wow, you're not pulling on me. All you're doing is barely touching my nose, and all I have to do is drop my head, and you give me release. And so now the mule is comfortable. You can see his eye changed, his ears are alert, and his head is down. And
the only type of softening that I do on the neck at all. Just right, left, and then it'll drop. So
what's his ears saying right now? They're kind of off to the side.
Okay, right now the mule's, he's really happy. He's listening with his left ear. He's kind of paying a little bit of attention with the right ear, but that's a real happy, quiet mule. See how his feet are quiet? Even though I'm moving the halter, a lot of people think, Well, when you move the halter, you're supposed to go. Well, no, he's learned that there is release every time I put my hand right, left, right, left. So when he feels that release, he wants to stand still because that's what he really wants. He doesn't want to move. Okay?
That then makes them set back on their hind quarter, makes them stop right now. So right, left, right, left. Right brain, listen to me. Left brain, listen to me. See, mules run through their shoulders. They don't run through their hips. That's why I don't do lateral flexions. That's why I don't disengage hind quarters.
Okay, now even though that halter is misadjusted, because my hands were able to just barely communicate. This is all I was doing. You didn't see me do a lot of pulling, okay? You saw me doing this. And even though we had a misadjusted halter, I was still able to get some results. I would have got better results if I'd have had the halter more adjusted, but it was all I had on hand at that time, what these guys had available. So, and the mule's ears were nice and quiet. Okay, here's some of the things that people say to me while you're preparing that. My mule gaps his mouth when I try to do something. My mule throws his head in the air when I try to get him to stop. My mule sticks his tongue out. Why is he doing that? Okay, now, let's just start with the basics. Number one, depends on your bit. Most of you are using horse bits because it's all you have, and that's about all that's available. So why are they gapping their mouth? For several reasons. Number one reason, you're probably using a horse bit and it's touching the palate incorrectly or the bars incorrectly, and it's not setting in the mouth of the mule correctly, okay? The next part is this, is how you have it adjusted. You always want to have the mule with your bits. Reach down, pick it up, and pack the bit. Why do they get their tongue over top of the bit? Because you got the bit up too high. You want it to be down. Take your time, folks. Enjoy. The biggest reason these mules are in a mess that they are is because of us. We try to put a time frame on it. Well, we got 30 minutes here, 10 minutes here. No. When the mule drops his head, gets his ears quiet, gets his eye big and brown, and is balanced, top of his hip, top of his wither, and relaxed, that's when he has it. Not in 10 minutes, not in doing 20 minutes worth of work. When the mule drops his head, gets his nose on the vertical, that is when he has it, okay? Why does he not respond correctly? Because you didn't give him time to relax. Because your timing was off. Because you had your bridle too high, or your come along too high, or your come along too low, okay? It's all in a matter of adjustment. Folks, the biggest thing that we have to do is figure out how to make them comfortable. And we do that in little movements when we see them getting quiet. So let's see the marking. I want you to see, folks, what I'm doing.
I'm going to put your left hand here. Remember I told you about a little bit gets you a lot? Now, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to communicate, and it's best that here, let me kind of turn her like this. There, all right? All right, now, she's not going to see. She's looking straight ahead. I'm going to first communicate to this part of her body, and then I'm going to connect it from here to here. Then I'm going to connect those two to here. All right? She's going to look straight ahead. I'm going to keep her shoulders square. I want you to watch my hands. This hand is only going to do this. This hand is going to be perfectly quiet. Ready? You got a hold of the bit? You got a hold of it good?
Yes.
Okay, now watch the first place I told you about that's going to move. Here's my first communication to her. Oh, boy, she's really soft. Wow. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and increase the intensity. Wow. Okay, do you see that? Do you see how much my hand moved? All right, now let's watch this. Watch this hand only. Take you over here like this. Okay. I'm going to stop my mule. Okay. Are you ready? Okay, now go forward. Now watch this hand and watch this foot. Okay, now go forward. All I did was close this hand. That's all I did. Now, I want to teach her to turn. Watch this. Direction, impulsion. How much did I move my hands? Okay. How much do I want to back up? Okay. Direction, impulsion. How much did I move my hands? See it? If I done this, she's going to be awful uncomfortable, isn't she? But if I take and just move my hands, direction, impulsion, she feels that.
So when I move my hand like this, I then make them uncomfortable because I now change the pressure in the bit. When we pull on them, that's when they gap their mouth. When we pull on them, that's when they throw their head. So why are they doing that? Because not the bit, okay? It's because my hands are not communicating correctly. Now, let's go back. The idea of the martingale is to keep the animal with his nose on the vertical and his head down. When you're riding in the martingale, you're only riding off of the string. That's all. So when I turn my hand, that string goes across the bit on the ring and just barely touches them, and it makes them uncomfortable, and they're thinking, when are you going to let go of me? And all I'm doing is sitting here like this. So they're asking me, why are you not letting go of me? And you're thinking, well, why aren't you turning? Well, the split second the animal turns his nose toward the pressure, you let go. See, then you start paying them. So you just made them comfortable the split second they look to the right. So comfortable, uncomfortable. Very, very important. It's the same thing with your hand. Your hands is what is your communicating device.
Jacqueline says, why won't my mule stand still and wait patiently after mounting? She is very patient when standing, when getting ready to mount, and the actual mounting. But if we have to stand for any length of time, she becomes very impatient and walks off.
What we need to understand, folks, is animals have natural, I want to go. I want to get away from this position. Or they're uncomfortable because what happens is when you climb on, you did not prepare them to climb on. So they have to move their feet in order to get themselves balanced for you to climb on. Because most of you climb on incorrectly. You grab the back of the saddle, you grab the front of the horn, and you pull yourself up. It's not the way to get in a saddle. The way to get in a saddle is your right hand on the horn, left hand on the mane, pull yourself up. So now this is what I have to do. I have to show my mule. I need them to stand still while I am mounting. I use the come-along hitch to start with, all right, with somebody standing there, and I have my mule rider's martingale on there as well. Now, the first thing I do to communicate to them I am getting in the saddle is I take a hold of the horn, and I shake the horn really good. And when I shake that horn, it makes them unbalanced, and they grab their feet on the ground, and they stand still. Now, I have cued them to stand still. Now, in the future, all I have to do is barely touch that horn, and they get themselves ready. They prepare themselves. Because otherwise, you didn't prepare them. Their feet are not in the right place, and they moved off. So again, what happens? It's our fault we did not prep the animal. He's moving simply to balance you getting on and off. Now, once you shake the horn and you climb up in there, you sit there. Don't get in a hurry to ride off. You just sit there and wait. Hands down, get quiet. Now remember, you have somebody on the come-along rope. So if at any one time the mule is not responding to your hands or the bridle, they can bump with the come-along rope. They'll eventually get it, okay? So why are they moving off? You did not prepare them and say, I'm climbing in the saddle. Shake the horn real violently to start with. They'll plant all four. Once they plant all four, after that, you barely have to touch the horn, and they'll prepare themselves, okay? Now, the other thing, when you get on, you want to make sure, remember they have two brains, a right brain and a left brain. And what they hold on to for information that we give them is that less than the size of a walnut. Yeah, their brain is as big as my fist, all right? But there's only less than the size of walnut that holds all the information that me, the human, gives to them. So when I climb on, I want their left brain thinking of me. So when I climb on, I want to have my left hand just touching the reins where it tips their nose. I will have my left hand on the mane. Yes, you need a mane on your mule so you get on and off. Don't cut it off. The other hand on the horn. And while they're climbing on, you watch the eye and you climb on. Okay? At any one time, if that head changes, you make sure you stop because he's getting ready to leave. So again, what do we got to do? Teach him a cue to stand still. Have the left brain listen to you. And when you climb in the saddle, sit there. Come back, get the mule centered, and just sit there and wait. If he goes to move, right, left, right, left. Anytime they're doing something incorrect, like moving, right brain, listen to me, left brain, listen to me, right, left, right, left. When you do that, the mule will say, I'm going to be made uncomfortable when I choose to move, but my herd leader says that I need to stand still, so it's easier on me to be comfortable to stand still.
Awesome. The next question we have, this one's from Bob. He says, why won't my donkey move when I get on? The donkey does fine with all of the groundwork.
Okay, so now when we're training with our groundwork, we want to make sure we're teaching them to turn on the forehand, turn on the hindquarters, and side pass. And that basically is on their side. Here's your leg in the saddle. When you move your leg forward, that moves the front end over. When you move your leg back, that moves the back end over. So that teaches the front feet and the back feet to move as you move your leg with leg cues. All right, now, it's imperative, folks. Everybody has to ride with spurs. You're not hurting the animal when you do that. You're asking, telling, demanding. So you ask with your calf, tell with the side of your stirrup, and demand with your spur. When you do it that way, it is exactly as the mule understands it. The reason he doesn't move is because you are not communicating to move off. So how do you do that? You take your legs and you use your calf and you go right brain, left, right, left, right, left. And your hands need to be down and just in front of the horn. Because here's what happens. We tend to pull on the bridle the split second the animal starts to move. So when that happens, when they start to move, we need to be using our hands, okay, to make them stop. But we need to do right, left, and we need to sit quiet, okay. When we use our legs to go right, left, we put our hands down. That gives them a place to go. Now they know where to go forward. But if we pull up on their bridle, well, a lot of times we do it out of fear, and we're using our legs. They're thinking stop, go. So you have to wear spurs. Okay, and you can start with spurs on the ground. That's a very good idea to have it in your hand, to ask with your palm of your hand. That's the same as your calf. A tail with the side of your hand with stirrup, and then use your spur. So you have to use both your legs and your hands to get them to go forward.
The next thing that I want to address, Steve, and folks, we're going to go past the 60-minute mark. We've just got a lot of questions here, so we'll do our best to get through them. Victoria wanted us to address ear shyness, and I've got this clip here of ear shy. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. The question, though, is really, what is the mule telling us in when we're dealing with the ear shyness? So here's the clip.
Okay, this is how we go through the steps of putting a bridle on a mule that has ear shy problems and this sort of thing. So again, we go through the same process, tipping the head to the left. Notice how she has her hand on the halter and the mule's kind of on the fight, but she goes to rubbing on him. And we're not interested in putting the bit in right now. We're interested in putting the bridle up over the ears. And all of my mule riders, martingales, and my regular bridles have a lot of ear room, especially my mule riders martingales, because they are training. They are for training. As you can see, that mule rider's martingale is made out of beta, and there she goes up over the one ear, the next ear. Notice we're not putting the bit in right now. She rubbed on him with the bridle. You can see how big an ear area we've got. We've got a lot of room, and that's what you want when you're training these colts. A lot of room so that you don't pester those ears. And notice how she went over the ears. Didn't try to put in one ear at a time right now. And notice she's now going back to petting, scratching, rubbing on the mule. That's what we want. We want to be able to pet and scratch on them and get them relaxed. And once they get relaxed and this sort of thing, then we go back and now we put the bit on. Now notice what she's going to do. She's going to use her little finger and go over and rub the inside of the mouth on the right hand side. So we'll change the camera settings here and work over there and see what she's going to do. She's going to take her middle finger and she's going to rub on the bar of the mouth. Notice how loose she's loosened up the bit. She's getting the bit set up in her hand so that she can use her middle finger and rub the bar of the mouth. And then, of course, the mule's a little concerned right now, but she's rubbing. Notice the mouth starting to open, and as she starts rubbing on those bars, and as the mouth gets open, she then feeds the bit right into the mouth, nice and slow. It's okay to have the mule's head up to start with. There, she slid it in.
Okay, Dave. So here's several reasons these animals are ear shy. Number one, we're using a horse bridle. You want a full brow band. That's 19 inches. Okay, that's big enough to be able to put both ears in with ease. Okay, if you had great big donkey ears or if you had smaller ears, it's the perfect size for all mules. Okay, now never use a one ear bridle. That makes it even worse. Now, why do they get ear shy? Because here's what happens. We put the bridle on the same way every single day. And as we're putting the bridle on, the bridle comes up and bumps the bars of the mouth. Pretty soon, it's not our fault. It just happens because it's tender. The bars start getting sore. Now, to keep you from putting that bit in there and pulling up on it to go over the ear, they throw their head. Now you think they're ear shy, but no, what happens is if you don't put the bridle on loose. Now we overemphasize here because this mule really had a major ear problem. Horsemen had been trying to train on it and they did all kinds of horrible things to get this mule to respond. Okay, yes, the mule threw his head, and yes, it wasn't pretty, but yes, she got it, but she was able to get the head down, and that loosens all 5 major neck muscles and get it to the left. You use your middle finger to rub the inside of the bars. And that's what gets the mule to open his mouth because it feels good. If you notice, the mule dropped his head. And when he did, he opened his mouth. She slid the bit in. Okay. So you're going to start with no bridle at all. And you're just going to hold on to the nose with your left hand, having the come-along hitch on there as well. When the mule throws his head, bump with the come-along hitch. And then you should be able to fix your ear shy problem. And then if you want to call me on this, I got some other ideas I can help you with as well. Dave will give you my phone number later on.
All right. The next question that we have, this one came from Ross, and he says, why does my mule, an 11-year-old Molly, rarely stop pacing since we separated her from my 2 mares? We separated so she would become less herd-bound and more focused during training. We haven't been riding, focused on 4 hours of ground work each week, and we have seen great changes.
Good. Excellent. Okay, now, why is your mule wanting to be with the mares? Because they are very subservient to horses, especially mares and especially gray mares. They feel more comfortable around those mares than they do you. They're a prey animal and they're protective. They are the herd leader. That's what I talked about before. Okay, you can take them mares and put them in the next county, but the first time they come back by, that mule will go back to them again. You are not going to change it by putting them in separate corrals. You are going to change their mind by putting them in separate corrals because now they have to focus on you. You're the one feeding them. You're the one leading them. You're the one bringing them out. And it's imperative, folks, you keep them in a small pen, okay? They are pacing and everything because they want to get out. And when you come and open up the gate, you're thinking, oh boy, here comes my herd leader taking me out. And immediately You're going to have the come along hitch on the way you go. So why are they wanting to pace? Why are they wanting to be with the mares? Because they're subservient to the mares, and you are not going to change it. But you are going to change it by you being the herd leader, okay? You taking and feeding them, and keep them in a small pen. And it does no good, by the way, folks, to have your mules out your horses out in the pasture, and the mules going, wow, they get to be out there in the pasture, and I don't. Put them all in the corrals. Each one of my mules have a 10 by 20 stall. They're all side by side. And when one sees the other one goes, hey, well, Charlie, where are you going? You have to have them. It's imperative, not in a pasture, in a corral, if you want to change the mindset on these animals. Not that you're going to change it to where they won't follow the mule, but you'll have it to where they'd rather spend time with you.
So Lori's "why does my mule do that" question is, why does my mule paw when she's tied up and then will start kicking the fence or barn when she wants food?
Okay, so they paw because they want something. They paw because they want to break the ice to get a drink of water out of a frozen pond. They paw to get the snow off of the grass so they can get a bite to eat. They paw because, hey, I don't want to be here. I want to be someplace else. And they're pawing to show their discomfort, but they're also pawing to say that if they can dig dirt, they'll dig dirt all day long. But if you take a rubber mat and put a rubber mat under where they stand, I have at my hitching rails, when I teach them to stand still, I have 4 mats. They're basically 4x4 mats, and there's 4 of them. So I have a 12x12 area where they have to stand. When they paw on that mat. Now, you're never going to change the pawing, but you are going to get to where you can help that pawing be lessened. And you do it by this couple ways. You take a strap and put it above each leg, and then you take a heavy chain, a very heavy chain, and you put it on each one of those straps, and the chain's going to be about 6 to 8 inches long. And when they paw, that chain hits their cannon bone. All right. Now you're going to take a baling twine, and you're going to go from one of those straps to the other strap, and that keeps the straps from coming down, because they will come down as the animal's pawing. But now here's the deal. Okay. We don't want to put the hobbles on to keep it from pawing, and we don't want to put this chain on there. As soon as they quit pawing, take the hobbles off. As soon as they quit pawing, take the chain off. I'd rather you not even use hobbles. Don't use hobbles to get them to stand still or not to paw. Use the chain with the strap. Each strap goes above the knee. Each strap is a heavy chain so that it bangs on the cannonball. And again, you're training. So the split second they stand quiet, take them off, then they'll see, okay, if I stand quiet, you don't put the chain on me. But if I paw, you put the chain, and they will get that in their head.
Next question. This one is from Kenny. Why won't my mule come to me when I have a halter or a rope in my hand? She will come running to me and let me rub and scratch all over her unless I have a rope or halter.
Okay, so here's what you want to do. Number one, you put them in a small corral, 10 by 20, okay? My mules that I'm training, each one's got their own stall, and I guarantee you, every single morning I have a come-along hitch, or I have a halter, and I prefer the come-along hitch, and I come with it, and they meet me at the gate, and I put it on. When you have them out in the pasture, they don't need you. They've got their friends, they got their grass, they got their water, they got all kinds of places to run. They don't need you. And when they see that halter coming, or they see that rope coming, they'll get to where they'll run away. But you start putting them in a small pen, they will start saying, okay, I'd rather go with the herd leader because it gets me out and it makes me comfortable, okay? But when you got them out in the pasture, you're wasting your time.
This one's from Joe, and it's very along the same lines. Why can't I catch my Molly mules? I have 3 of them. All 3 run around the corral 200 foot by 200 foot, kicking and carrying on. I keep pushing them until we're all tired out, and one of them finally lets me catch her. Is that the exact same thing?
It's the exact same thing, folks. You cannot put them all in a big pen. They each have to have their own 10 by 20 stall. If you want to make a change in an animal's attitude, you put them in a 10 by 20 stall. My wife's mule, 28 years old when she passed away. I had her for 26 years. She spent 26 years in a 20 by 20 stall. Why not 10 by 20? Because she outgrew the 10 by 20 because she started paying attention to me and doing the correct things. Okay. My two Shire mules, each one of them, these are big 17-hand, 1,800-pound Shire mules. Okay. The same thing. All of my mules meet me at the gate with a halter because they want to get out of there and go do something. When you got them out in a big area like that, they don't need you. They've got one another. And why should I spend time with a predator who doesn't treat me right when I get in the saddle? And you may think you're treating them right, but I guarantee you, I can show you in matters of minutes how you're putting saddles on incorrectly, how you're using your hands incorrectly, and why would they want to go with you when you're making them uncomfortable? You have to make them comfortable. Just like in the very beginning, I said to you, the guy said, as long as my mules are happy, I'm happy. Yes, okay? But if you're putting on lousy equipment and this sort of thing, you're using incorrect bridles, incorrect tack, why should they spend time with you? Because you're hurting them.
Zath's question is, why am I still having trouble turning on the front and turning on the rear? I don't know how to ask differently. And why does my mule stick his nose up in the air and do as he likes?
Okay, so why does he not turn on the forehand, turn the hindquarters correctly? Because of your hands. You're not using your hands to tell them, I want you to turn here. I want you to turn there. You have to use your hands. Don't just pull them around. Get to where you can get them to stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. Why does he throw his head in his air? Because he knows if he throws his head in the air, he can get away from you. Okay? And again, it's your timing. If his head is in the air, it's already too late. It's already too late. It has to be your timing. When he starts to even move his nose up, just a slight second, bump his nose, okay? You have to get your timing more correct. Just like that little girl where the mule was bumping her, when her timing was right, man, that mule responded and she fixed the problem, okay? Not completely fixed it, okay? He will try it again because he's an equine. And they will try to be the boss. And that's what this mule is doing. Not only is he trying to be the boss, but you're not giving him the correct movement with your hands to get him to turn on the forehand, turn on the hindquarters.
Next question. This one comes from CA. CA's got a zonkey. Why is my zonkey so unpredictable, and why does he have a tendency to bolt? One day he's good, and then the next day, 2 steps back. It's discouraging and instilling fear in me. How do I build confidence?
Okay, so number one, folks, a zebra, they are really difficult to deal with. You never know where their mind's going to be. And I've dealt with zonkies and zorses as well. And it's tough enough as it is just having an equine. But when you mix a zebra in there, you have to think about this. In Africa, you got all them people walking and all those zebras are running. There has to be a reason. Yeah. And that reason is they're extremely difficult to train. Now, let's go back. It's not because of the zebra. It is because flight and fright is part of their life. She has a baby mule, and this baby mule doesn't want to work with a predator, and therefore it's important that you show her leadership and be the herd leader. Now, I've got about 2,500 videos out there that shows you all kinds of steps, but you've got to remember, they kick you, they bite you, all these things are trying to do is trying to say, I am the boss, you are my herd, okay? And what do you have to do? You have to bump their nose, okay? What do you have to do? Don't give them an opportunity to kick you, okay? When you go through a gate, turn them around, face the gate, and then pull the halter off. Don't just pull the halter off and let them take off running and the gate's here. They'll jump up and kick and say, oh boy, here I go. And guess what? They just kicked you.
Awesome. Dave O'Brien, our friend Dave O'Brien. Why won't my mule back up when I wiggle the rope? I almost have to go to demand every time. She will back up with a slight wiggle once or twice, but beyond that, I have to ramp it up. If I gently push her with one finger in the chest, below her neck, she backs up real easily.
Okay, well, she's backing up, Dave, because of the pressure from your finger. You can't get off and use your finger all the time to back up. So your pressure of your finger is more timing than it does with your hands to get her to back up, okay? Now, again, we have to think about the ask, tell, demand. We go right, left, that's asking. Then we switch our hands and we bump, demand, bump, bump, a tail, and then bump, bump, bump to demand, okay? So it's because you have too much time, your timing is not correct between communications to move your feet, okay? And also make sure you give them plenty of room. Don't have a corral behind them to where they can only move so far because they're concerned about that distance. But it's your timing between moving your hands that gets them to stop and turn, stop and go.
David's question, why did my 16-year-old John start giving me trouble in the harness? He's part of 3-team across on the lead side and started to kick and throw a fit. I couldn't find anything wrong. He wouldn't settle. Ended up putting him behind the wagon the rest of the ride. When I got home, I put him in a 4-cart and drug a tire behind it with no problems.
Okay, so you said the lead side. So I think you're saying the right off side, okay? You might want to change the mule and put him on the near side because sometimes you have a peripheral problem with the eyes and they're having a hard time figuring out the animal next to them, or they're having a little pressure. I'm sure you've already checked your harness and all that's correct. Your collar's correct as well. So I would change them. And if so, then you may have to have your vet look at it because you probably have an eye problem with the peripheral look on to the left.
Okay, we're almost there, Steve. Andrea sent in a message, says, why are my donkeys suspicious of any dark spots like water on concrete or dappled shade on the road? Manhole covers are very much to be avoided.
Yeah, okay. So what they can't see, their depth perception is not there. I used to take a 4x8 sheet of plywood and paint it white and paint a black circle in the middle. They didn't know how deep it is, so they wasn't going to go near it. You see, again, this is their protective side, trying to protect themselves. So when they hear the hollowness or they feel that it's too deep, then their perception tells their brain, hey, you're in trouble here, back out, okay? So is it important? No. Can you eventually get them to walk across manholes? Oh, yeah. I've done a lot of parades using my 6-ups and this sort of thing. But what I did it with my come-along hitch first. And I used my come-along hitch to take them across, okay? Now, I didn't just go right at it. Here's my manhole, or here's my river, or here's my ditch. I go left, and the right eye sees it. I go right, and the left eye sees it. Then I keep always pointing toward the problem. Right, left, left. And eventually, they'll get to where they will go across the problem, okay? But there again, folks, it is your timing. And you always want to go toward the problem, just like getting in a trailer. People say, or crossing over a river. Well, they back them away. Well, the split second that you backed them away, you gave them what they want. Even though it was a split second or two, you gave them what they want.
Charles asked this during the webinar. Why does my mule pull back while tied to the rail whenever we start tightening the cinch?
For one thing, you shouldn't be tying him to the hitching rail. Teach him to stand still and quiet with the come-along hitch and then be able to tighten them up. Now, I tighten the back cinch first and the front cinch. I tighten the back cinch where it's just touching the belly. The front cinch is not touching the belly, and then I move him around. Then when I move him around, I'll tighten up the back cinch a little bit more, the front cinch just a teeny bit more, and then I'll move him around. What's happened is people try to tighten their cinches real tight with the mule standing still, and he doesn't get a chance to get used to being moved around in the saddle. So you tighten it a little bit and moving it. I do not tie my mules when I'm saddling. I've seen people get hurt real serious when mules have had nylon halters on them or improperly rope adjusted halters, and they have no respect for them. So do that. Use that technique of tightening the cinches a little at a time. Back cinch first, front cinch second. Now, if you're using a horse saddle, when you tighten that front cinch, you're putting pressure up on the 6th and 7th rib. And yes, you're making him uncomfortable. What's he trying to do? Move so that he's not so comfortable. So there's your thought right there. Now, if your saddle has billets, in other words, leather billets, then your saddle is creating problems with the fit, and you can't get the saddle balanced correctly with billets on your saddle.
Sherry says, we're trying to get the mule soft with the come-along rope. So if you, we already answered this one. We already answered that one. Kristen asks, how can I best prepare my 2-year-old for his first ride? And I'm guessing she's talking about 2-year-old mule, not a 2-year-old child.
Okay, so best preparation is doing all your groundwork and going into your surcingle, using a surcingle with a rope halter, using a surcingle with a martingale, using a surcingle is going to have your breeching on it. All those are preparation. It's not, folks, don't go out and buy some cheapy saddle and put on there and think, okay, I got a saddle on his back. No, you are hurting the mule's back. Do everything correctly in the beginning, because remember, you're trying to teach the right way and not the wrong way to get the animal to respect you. And like I was telling the other guy before, he was saying, how the mule didn't want to stand still and this sort of thing. Well, look, or didn't want to be caught to go out with the lead rope. If you're hurting him all the time, why does he want to go with you? Why? Okay. Why not teach him that you're a good herd leader, and as long as he's with you, he's going to be comfortable. Just like my client said to start in the very beginning of this program, when my mule is happy, I am happy.
Daniel says, why does my mule seem to take hours to get his head down when he's trotting? When he's walking, the halter and surcingle, he does great. Is this normal?
Yes, that's normal. Okay. And it could be too that maybe you have your baling twine too tight going to the halter, have it real loose. That was one of the things that Dave was saying. He all of a sudden, the mule was dropping his head and getting quiet. He said, Steve, all I had to do was loosen up the strings. You see, if you make them tight, then you're making the halter work. If you've got them loose and it's just a light amount of pressure on it, the halter is working correctly.
Marcia says, does the training time limit still apply if you are training more advanced riding, such as figure eights or roping cattle?
Okay, so figure eights, loping figure eights, and working cattle, timing is extremely important, okay? Especially when you're doing figure eights, because you're doing lead changes in the middle of the figure eight. So yes, your time is important, and it's important that you use a martingale when you're doing this and not a finish bit. Always remember, your finish bit is not for training. Your finish bit is for finished work. But when you have to fix a problem, or if you have to make something correct to build a foundation, it's imperative you use the mule rider's martingale.
Folks, that's everything for tonight, except we do have this clip that Steve promised at the very beginning. Now, before we get to that, I want to let you know that we believe in you. We really believe that this is something that you can do, that you can learn to speak mule, you can learn to speak donkey, you can learn to understand why your mule and donkey are doing the things that they're doing, and experience all of the joy of training your mule, because it should be a joyful experience. So I want to let you know that starting tonight, we have a very special deal that we want to offer to you. And so we're calling this the Major Breakthrough. And if you make any purchase of $100 or more, we are actually going to give you a digital copy of Steve's live training, Why Does My Mule Do That? So go to the store, you put your order together, whether it's a saddle or the surcingle or the ground foundation kit or the surcingle training kit, whatever the case might be. You go ahead between now and June 30th. When you check out, we're automatically going to add a digital copy of Steve's video, Why Does My Mule Do That?, into your video library, and you can get started with that right away. I'm going to put a link in the comment section where y'all can go and start checking it out, but it's very simple. We believe that you are worth the investment. So if you're willing to make the investment in yourself, Steve is willing to make that investment in you. And I think this will be one of the best and most exciting training videos that you'll be able to go through and just learn to communicate with that animal and understand why he's doing what he's doing. So I'll put a link in the comment section. Steve, you want to go ahead and set up this final video here that we got sent in from, I think it was Joe?
Okay, now folks, I can show you a lot of videos of different men and women and boys and girls training on their mules and doing stuff. But here's Joe, and he lives in Stillwell, Texas, has one of the finest barbecue places that you can have. I mean, Stillwell, Oklahoma. But this guy, it's amazing what he's done in a matter of just a few minutes, okay? And watch this video to see what he's doing. He's not a trainer. He's got a barbecue restaurant and this sort of thing, but he enjoys his meals. And now he says, the training that I'm doing, Steve, he uses the word epic. He says, I'm able to get it done. So watch this, folks. Watch and see what he does. Notice that mule ain't tied. Notice the lead rope's on the ground. Watch this. You can see the tail moving on the mule. He's not completely happy about it, but since this guy is the herd leader, and he's got that come-along hitch, he'll respond. Whoa. The tail is twitching because the mule is not completely happy with being able to do what he's doing. Now look, he threw the lead rope on the ground and is walking around the mule. You see that? Now he's only done this just a short time. I forget what it told me, about 5 or 6 hours, and got this done, okay? Now, he just bought this mule, and this mule was a rascal when he got him, okay? And was having a horrible time, and he asked me, what do I do? And I said, start using the come-along hitch, okay? Now, here he is in Oklahoma training away. Notice the mule, he's bumping him. Notice the mule's trying to pull on him a little bit. It ain't perfect, but it's close to being right. Again, the sweat tail is twitching because the mule is not used to having a human being the herd leader. Now, watch this. Whoa. Throws the rope on the ground. Walks clean away. Moves around the gate. Walks clear away. Walks behind the mule. Watch this. Goes around the mule, and the mule is still standing still. Why? Because he respects that come-along rope. Because he knows that when that come-along rope, watch his tail, he knows that when that come-along rope starts moving, he's going to be uncomfortable. And he doesn't want to do that, so he'd rather stand still, okay? There's that predator walking around me. Notice he's approaching the shoulder. Now, he's not a trainer. He's only just spends his time using that come-along rope. Bump, bump, bump. Notice the mule's refusing. Bump, bump, bump. There. Now the mule went. So see what that come-along rope can do? None of you should be tying your mule up to put a saddle on. You should teach him to be with the come-along rope. When you come here to saddle up, you throw the lead rope on the ground, they stand still, you go ahead and saddle them up. You don't have to tie them up, okay? You don't have to tie them. You teach them to respect that halter, and you can pick up their feet. You can do your dental work. You can do your shoeing. I've got all kinds of videos of people doing things simply because they took a little time and did that come-along work. Look at that. That mule is standing still, quiet. And like I said, Joe's not a trainer. All he's trying to do is the few little things that I taught him to do to relax the mules and to use the come-along hitch. So there you are, folks. If Joe can do it, all of you can do it. All of you. No reason in the world. And listen, if you're ever in Stillwell, Oklahoma, go by Joe's Barbecue.
Want to remind you, go check out the link I put in the comment section. It's muleranch.com/breakthrough. We want you to have major breakthroughs in your training this summer so you can get out there and enjoy the adventure of equine ownership. And this is meant to be a break for you. This is meant to be a reprieve from the troubles of the world. It's not supposed to be something that you step into and you're more frustrated when you leave than when you started. No, we want you to walk out more relaxed and just enjoying creation in ways that were not possible before the mule or donkey. Steve, anything you want to say before we're all finished up here?
You know, Dave, I just knew we were going to be running over because, you know, this is a very important subject, okay? And I have spent days doing clinics and just focusing on why is my mule doing this, that, and the other. And this video that you're offering for free, folks, let me tell you, you're going to see a lot of things that we have answered here now and additional things. It's a great idea, Dave, to offer that to them because literally, folks, we did all this in an hour and a half and we haven't even touched the subject. I give you the broad overview, okay? In this video and some of my other videos, you can actually see hands on it being done, okay? Now, I want to help you. I really do, okay? So that's why I've got 2,500 videos out there. Isn't that right, Dave? Somewhere like that to help you out, to be able to get you to understand, to help your animal. Remember, you're a predator, they're a prey animal. And until you learn how to speak mule, ask, tell, demand, comfortable, uncomfortable, you are going to have problems. But take your time and enjoy the ride.
Thanks, folks. Appreciate you being here. We will see you again very soon. Support at muleranch.com if you need anything. 602-999-6853. Leave a voicemail. Steve will get back to you. Gain the trust of your animal. Get results. We're here to help you. We want to help you. So reach out if there's anything we can do. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. God bless.
Blessings.